up, nerds? So, in case those of you that don't know, which actually a lot of you did not know, that we are getting a brand new update on October 21st, and we are getting feeders in the game. And there has been a lot of different news. Expansive Worlds has given a Q&A to a bunch of fans, and there have been some things in there that people have talked about, questions that have been asked, and they actually gave us some really good answers. For those of you that don't know, we will be getting new moose furs, which I'm like maybe the most excited about. However, what I really wanted to talk about today, there was a dev diary reinventing the hunt with game feeders, and I wanted to read that all for you guys in case you don't want to read it, or if you just want to know what's going on, because I am extremely excited about all this. Hi everyone, my name's Chris, and I am a game designer on the Hunter Call of the Wild. Today I'd like to talk to you all about the new game feeder pack that the team and I have been working on, bringing feeders into the wild. First things first, let's talk about the inspiration behind this pack. Feeders are used all over the world in many different real-life hunting environments. Not to mention, attracting animals with feeders was something players could utilize back in the Hunter Classic. I actually didn't know that because I've never played that. That's cool. As developers, we had to ask ourselves a few questions before cracking on with it. What do players need? What do we want them to be able to accomplish? With all of this in mind, we set ourselves some goals. Give players a tool to more directly interact with different animal groups. I'm quite excited about that. I'm going to be going after bunnies in case you didn't know. Give players new reasons to explore and engage with older reserves. I actually think that's really cool considering there's some older reserves that I don't usually go on, but because I've been hunting more of animals that I don't have diamonds of, that's been really fun. Make it work with whatever gear players already have to help them create new hunting experiences, pursue their own goals, and tell their own stories while playing the game. So we put together some proposals, tried some things out, learned from our mistakes, and the Game Feeders Pack DLC is the result. Let's take a look on what we come up with. And here is the picture of some of the lineups of the feeders. So this is the box feeder. The new DLC will include 3 different game feeders. You'll be able to deploy them across your hunting reserves, placing up to 8 feeders on a single map. Each feeder will have a couple of bait types to choose from. There's a minimum 300 meter placement distance limit between all feeder structures, so keep that in mind when you're placing your hunt. The box feeder can be filled with either fortified pellet feed, which is rich in protein, or multigrain flake mix, high in carbohydrates. It's constructed in such a way that only taller, snouty animals like deer, antelope, moose, etc. can eat them from. I can't words today. The feed only depletes when animals visit the feeder, so you can use this as a way to check if there's been any activity in the area. So it sounds like we're going to be able to tell if they were there or not, which is really cool. They are quite delicate though, and can be vulnerable to being knocked down and raided by bears. So it sounds like not only are we going to have beavers messing up our tripods and tents, but we're going to have bears after our feeders. Yay! All right, this is the post feeder. Uses the same type of feeder as the box feeder, so the same kind of feed, but has a different mechanism to dispense the feed. This means that a broader variety of animals can feed from it, and it's resistant to bear attacks. However, it will still attract bears if they're in the area, so make sure to keep a keen eye on things. With the post feeder, the fodder trickles, Help. Out at, the food comes out at a consistent rate. We're just gonna say that. And here's the barrel feeder. And if you were wondering how to deal with those pesky bears, then the bait barrel feeder is here to save the day. These feeders use 2 totally different types of bait: meat scraps and sour fermented mash. That sounds gross. They are much preferred by bears over the fodder. Okay. In the other 2 structures, you can use this fact to tactically draw bears away from your other feeding sites. The sour mash also attracts hogs, giving this feeder a handy second use case. Like the box feeder, the feed is depleted when animals visit, but it's much sturdier and can't be destroyed. Maximizing your feed maximizing your feeder's potential. If you're a new player looking to I can't words today. I promise I know how to speak. If you're looking to rack up some XP and in-game cash, it's not a bad idea to set up a couple of post feeders in different regions, since they can attract a broader variety of animals. If you find yourself making enough kills to raise the hunting pressure in a specific area, just travel over to the other feeder and hunt there for a bit to balance things out. Also, if you're focusing on deer trophies, then the box feeder might be the one for you, as it filters out a lot of smaller ground feeding animals. Cool. It's a good idea to place feeders in the vicinity of animal travel routes. While they don't need to walk right on top of where the feeder was deployed, they do need to wander through the general area to learn that there's a tasty food there. Yum. Once it's the animal feeding time, if you have the right setup, they'll remember where the good stuff is and come to the feeder to eat. So it almost seems like we're going to be able to create our own feed zones, which I think is really cool. So as well as scouting for where animals wander across the reserve, you'll also need to learn their schedules. They will visit game feeders at the same times that they'd feed at their regular need zones. But remember, you can place the game feeders almost anywhere. Spots between distant need zones are great, especially if many animal groups cross paths there at different times. Don't be afraid to experiment to find the best setup for your hunts. Personally, I like to use the game feeders to set up a hunting spot somewhere where I can use the terrain or other hunting structures to my advantage. Oftentimes, I'll pick a clearing or meadow near some wooded areas where I can draw deer out in the open while I use the occasional low wall for cover. I'm a big fan of hunting with the Hudzik .50 cap lock. So having a clear line of sight whilst remaining relatively close is pretty important. Other times using elevated terrain gives a really good view of action. And I can't wait to try out the feeder bow tree stand combo some of our testers have been raving about. Well, and, that sounds pretty awesome.
You can bet your bottom dollar that
I am extremely excited about this. So I live stream over on TikTok actually more often than I do on YouTube. But I'll keep up with my consistent uploads and let you guys know what's going on. So thanks for hanging in there, and I'll see you guys soon.